You mentioned earlier when we were talking about balance between school and swimming, you mentioned it was like work. Most people get paid for work.
Yeah, you're right.
NCAA athletes do not. And I know this has been a big issue, I think, with the NCAA football video game that came out. I think like they re-released it or started making it again this past year,
Mm.
maybe the year before. Um, and obviously with March Madness and all the ad revenue that comes in for that the schools get. What are your as a right? So like not to diss UMW or D3 schools, but as a D1 coach that like from a school that brings in lots of revenue, what are your thoughts on that?
I think, you can look on Twitter and there's probably like lots of memes about it and everything about how athletes are basically just like unpaid workers or like interns, or whatever else Twitter will
Mm-hmm.
throw out there or Reddit. Um, I'm in the camp that, I don't see why they can't or shouldn't be paid. And, I think it stems from the fact that it's just like you see all these schools bringing in hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue sometimes. I mean, I don't have any specific numbers for like a Clemson or Alabama for football, or you look at, like a basketball powerhouse school like Kentucky or Duke, or, you know, they bring in so much money from these revenue sports. And especially as a non-revenue sport coach, it's hard, it's hard to see all the this massive amount of money flowing through. And some of these athletes, it's definitely not as big of a problem in the sport of swimming. I'd say, I think that's a conversation for another time, but it's like, some of these athletes in football and basketball, like, they're coming from really low income houses, and they kind of struggled, and they're using athletics to get a good education and hopefully play professionally, because that's a way to earn money. And I don't understand why. I recently watched this great documentary on it, and there's an example of a high school prospect student who was getting, you know I think he had like 50 shoes that were given to him by X, Y, and Z company. And he had all these shoes, but he couldn't sell the shoes that he didn't like, because that would go against NCAA bylaws. And then he would get fined and he wouldn't be able to play in the NCAA. And he could have used that money to help his family, or he could have, donated them to his school or something, but he couldn't do any of that. It's definitely, I'd say from a non-revenue sport perspective, you know, people who make the Olympic team do go on to earn money at the Olympics. I've got, four examples right here. Katie Ledecky, when she swam at Stanford, $355,000 for winning all her gold medals. Ryan Murphy from Cal Berkeley, 234,375. Simone Manuel, about 200,000. Lily King, 135,000. It's just like they're earning this money competing for the United States. And, you know, Operation Gold was, the U.S. Olympic Committee trying to, um, say, hey, like, you can earn money for winning medals and competing for the United States. But it's like, isn't that against the NCAA? Like, it's in that, that's kind of hypocritical, because, if you look at the NCAA's policy as to what varies between an amateur and a pro, if you're paid in any form or accept any promise of pay for playing an athletic contest, that considers you a pro in the NCAA's eyes. But it's clearly just, it's a hypocrisy, for one thing. But two, it's just like, these people are doing it, and they're like the 0.04% of athletes that get to go to the Olympics and get money, possibly. Um, so it can work. I mean, obviously it's being done. And, you look at the marketing revenue and the, just ad sales, anything that comes from March Madness or, CFB. And you can just see that there's plenty of money coming in. Um, I don't think that's a knack on the NCAA. I just think the NCAA needs to change with the times, because marketing in the past 30 years has exploded. I think as soon as Nike and Under Armour and Adidas started slapping shoes and gear on teams in the 70s, I think it was, or the 80s. That was meant for the players to have and to use, like, at their own discretion. Like, it was used for marketing, obviously, but it wasn't used as a means to say, oh, well, let's not, let's let these people just basically play for free. Like, and I don't think that, they're going to get a good education, sure, but there's no guarantee they're going to graduate. There's no guarantee that they're actually going to get a good education. That's just the promise the NCAA makes. And, you know, with all that said, it's just like, is it really going to hurt EA Sports to put the name of someone, the name, image, and likeness in their game and pay them, I don't know how much they pay them. Let's say $5,000. Let's just say they pay $5,000 per player. And it's just like, it's $5,000 times, however many athletes there are, but is that really going to hurt them in the long run? Like, every year. I mean,
No, they bring that in from FIFA Ultimate Team in like 1 week.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, yeah, like how much I remember my brother used to play FIFA and he spent like $500 on those packs, like the car, like to get the
Oh, yeah,
gold
yeah.
card.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. And it's just like that's insane. Like it's so, I mean, I think that I think the times are changing, and I think that it could also be a reflection on athletic departments spending ridiculous amounts of money on you know venues and centers and everything. And I don't necessarily think those things are bad things, but I think that because they're bringing in this stuff, they've gotten a little excessive with it, and then it also could come from um, it could come from price of tuition also. I mean, if it costs 70 grand to go to a school, and they're trying to justify, hey, you're getting a $70,000 scholarship, so you're getting paid 70,000 with room and board and everything. I just I think they've gotten a little too complicit, yeah, with their money. I'd say I think
Yeah.
they're bringing in so much, like so much. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous. And I think if they really truly care about their players' health and safety and their experience and their ability to be like, really, they really are employees. They're the ones playing the sport. um I think yeah, they should be paid. It's not like they're gonna be paid like billions of dollars. um Especially, like, you might have one or two every now and then. Like I imagine if let me think of a good player. Like, if well, no, Tom Brady wasn't really all that amazing in college. Let's see, like I'm a think Herschel Walker. That's the first name that came to mind. Herschel Walker was like the dominant Georgia running back in the '80s. Imagine if he got money. Yeah, he'd probably make like maybe 90,000, 100,000. I mean, he probably would make over 100,000, but it's like that's one player compared to a lineman who's going to make 10.